beautiful 46 or 47, I can't remember, Dodge WC truck. Let's take a better look at it. Now this is how the truck was brought to us. It has already been painted and reworked. It has a new seat in it already, and we've already kind of started on it a little bit with some of the wiring. We are converting this truck to 12 volt using a universal painless harness. We are full of parts. Look at all these parts, and the owners have labeled everything beautifully to make our life a little bit easier. Now, to catch you up on some of the things that we have already done that we didn't film, is we've already converted the headlights to 12 volt. Pretty simple. You're just putting a 12 volt bulb in there and then wiring appropriately. Now the cowl lights back here, we're gonna put turn signals on this. So I've rewired these cowl lights to fit a dual element bulb. So these are going to be marker lights as well as turn signals, which would be pretty cool, and it'll be nice modern touch. We're also gonna be running 2 tail lights on the back, and we've got a little bit of other work we're gonna be doing on it. Now for a quick little backstory on this truck, the owner got this truck from a family member. This truck spent almost all of its life, if I'm not mistaken, on a farm in South Dakota. Now, when they decided to restore this truck, it wasn't in the greatest shape. So they actually had to buy a donor truck to acquire enough good parts to make this one work. The work that's been done to the truck has been phenomenal so far. The chassis is beautiful and painted. The body's in great shape. The seat looks great. Everything was done and proper care was taken while doing it. So we're going to continue that while we do our work with the wiring, the plumbing, bolting on all the final accessories, glass, and then of course getting this thing up and running so they can drive it. It is equipped with the stock 6-cylinder flathead engine. We have updated it with a GM 1-wire alternator and the vintage Auto Garage 12 volt starter and a dual booster or dual bowl master, excuse me. It is still equipped with the 6-cylinder flathead engine. We have upgraded it to a GM 1-wire alternator. As you can see, we've already plumbed the brakes. The owner had already put a brand new fuel tank in up there as well. We still got to finish up the wiring on the rear. And the bed is undecided. I'm not sure yet if we're going to go with a wooden bed or a steel bed, but I'm sure it'll look great either way. Since we already have the brakes pretty much plumbed up and handled on this, we're going to move on to our wiring. Now, we've already mounted our fuse panel and run our wires to the selected corners. We're going to go ahead and get these gauges wired up. These gauges are from Dolphin. As you can see, they fit in the factory holes and they bolt on like so. I've already started doing a little bit of the wiring. We're going to put these down and go over and run the wiring really quick, and then we're going to bench test them and make sure everything works okay. Alright, now the wiring is 90% done. We've got it temporarily secured with some tape. We'll go back and loom this all up nice and neat, clean it up. These individual connectors are for the lights and the ground. I did that so we could tap into them later. And then we also have these connectors here. Now I did wire these in temporarily just so you can see what they'll do if the harness is connecting in here. 3 wires and four wires so you can't get it mixed up. This connector is your ignition power, your ground, and your lighting. This one is all of your sending units for fuel, oil, that's water, and the green one is for your speedometer input from your pulse generator or GPS module, whichever you'll be using. So let's go ahead and hook this up to a battery and see how they look. Alright, first we're going to hook up our ignition wire. You can see the odometer pops up, all the gauges twitch. The fuel gauge is going to read wrong, obviously, because the sending unit's not hooked up, and then our lighting. Bam, there we go. Next, we're going to talk about the starter. Now, this flat 6 in this Dodge is rebuilt by somebody else, and the transmission's in good shape, but the starter went missing somehow. Luckily, Vintage Auto Garage has this starter. You can see on the end there, You can clock the nose cone so it fits best for your application. We've got it clocked. Let's go ahead and see how it fits. Look at that. It fits beautiful. Now, you've got the big terminal right here. That is for your battery power, and this is your ignition power. They show you that in their picture here. They also show you about checking your depth so it can shim correctly, and they even provide you with the part number for an ignition switch kit that you may want to use. Nice kit. I'm going to wrap it up for today on the Dodge. Now in our next video, we're going to go ahead and try to get the wiring wrapped up, get things hooked up like the key switch and the light switch, things of that nature, finish up all the wiring, and then we can get ready to turn the motor over and see if this thing's going to spin over and the starter works, all that good stuff. We're also going to need to rebuild the carburetor, which we'll go over that as well. And then we're going to need to go through everything else, including bleeding the brakes, hooking up the battery, connecting the fuel line, installing the fuel sending unit in the tank, things of that nature. If you have any questions about anything that we did today or anything that we used today, feel free to drop a comment below or email us at greasyboycustoms@gmail.com. Don't forget, that's customs with a K. Till next time, happy hot rodding.